Right, y'all, welcome to a day in intermittent fasting. You know, why is my hair so crazy? I don't think I've ever had this many baby hairs before. I really need a haircut sometime very soon. But c'est la vie, deal. Pretend you don't see them. Okay, anyways, today I'm taking you along with me for a day in intermittent fasting. So, I've been doing intermittent fasting for many months now. I think I started in November 2021, something around there, and it has changed my life, which we will get into. I'll probably do a short chit chat somewhere in this video when I take a break, but for now let's get to the desk because I'm getting very anxious. It's I think 1:30ish and now I'm starting to work, which makes me anxious. I woke up late and I'm not very proud of that. You're probably like, ha, Ruha, and you probably want to mock me because you probably know that I'm an early bird, but what you don't know is that I'm also a night owl, which is why all of this is happening, because currently my body wants to stay up late, but it also wants to wake up early, which is the most messed up schedule ever because I also need 9 hours of sleep to function correctly. But c'est la vie, that's something I'm working out by myself, and for now, I woke up at 12. I wasn't really hungry, so I started taking out pomegranates, or started de-seeding pomegranates. How do you word that? I'm not sure. In my perspective, pomegranates are a very high effort fruit. That's what I always tell my dad, is that it's a high effort fruit. But when I know I'm gonna be hungry soon, but I'm not actually hungry, I'll take out those 20-30 minutes to peel pomegranates because they're also very nutritious and full of flavonoids. So, I was peeling pomegranates, but people came over and then I had to share my pomegranates, which I may or may not be sad about, but I had to share my pomegranates. So I had my breakfast in basically two parts. Part one was pomegranates and part two were the eggs and oranges you saw because your girl here loves eggs. Oh my god, eggs. My dream is to literally sit and eat a plate full of eggs one day. That's one of my very enticing dreams, I would say. But c'est la vie. I just finished breakfast and now I'm back up in my room. And now I'm gonna sit down because, like I said, I'm hyperventilating because it's 1:30 and I haven't done anything yet. So let's see what's on the list for today. Okay, y'all. The first thing that I want to do is a scholarship application that I've been trying to do for days. But Zohar Namaz just happened. And because you should read Namaz right away, I'm gonna pray first and then I'm gonna sit down to work. And I'll probably be even more anxious at that point, which is probably not very religious of me, but I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on it. But anyways, let's go pray first and then we will actually start working. Alright, y'all, let's take a break and talk a little bit more about intermittent fasting. Okay, and it's very hot, so I'm gonna take off my hoodie. Let's actually move. Okay, I think this should be fine. I'm gonna be very careful not to move because I'm balancing the tripod on my bed, which you're probably like, Ruha, why do you experiment with this stuff? And you know what? I think I just really like shooting myself in the foot, but you know what? Let's get into it. And we shall see. We shall see what happens. Anyways, okay, the very first thing that I wanted to talk about is how was I even introduced to intermittent fasting? Like, why on earth did I even try this out? Well, as you can see, I'm itching. I was going through a bad eczema flare-up for many months at that point. And my sister introduced me to this doctor named Dr. Berg on YouTube. Now, his reputation is a bit contentious. Do your research. But anywho, I'm getting off topic. My sister introduced me to his YouTube channel and she was like, you know, I know you're going through a really bad eczema flare-up. You're trying different things. check this out, and I did. And I watched a lot of his videos. I read a lot of his reviews, a lot of people speaking to how his tips helped them a lot. Basically like magic, like his tips were magic for them. And so I was very intrigued. In many of his videos, he advocates for intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet. Now, I researched this a lot more, and I was very convinced by the benefits that I heard of intermittent fasting, that I was like, you know what? I've tried so many things. A lot of them aren't working for me. I still have a long way to go. I also fast every year for Ramadan. Like, this is not the end of the world for me. Let's give it a go. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the benefits that I heard about intermittent fasting that convinced me to actually try it. I'm gonna read off my laptop a little bit for here. I have some notes here. The very first thing, and the biggest reason why I tried IF, I'm gonna call it IF now. The biggest reason why I tried IF is that eating basically creates inflammation in your body. Food creates inflammation in your body. And so if you're eating from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., you're creating a lot of inflammation in your body. Now for the normal human being, maybe that's okay. Maybe it's like, your body can manage. But for someone with eczema, which is an autoimmune condition, and eczema is something that creates lots of inflammation in your body, at least from my knowledge, this is a holy grail to me. Like, I can reduce inflammation in my body by just eating for, a set amount of hours in the day. Like, yes, please. Now, from my research, IF also helps this cleaning mechanism in your body. Now, obviously, I'm not very versed in this, and you'll be able to tell with the way that I speak about it. But the way this works is that every 90 minutes after eating, your body has this cleaning mechanism that cleans your intestines. But that only happens if you don't eat up until those 90 minutes, right? So, you eat 90 minutes, that cleaning mechanism happens. Now, if you're constantly eating throughout the day, you're prohibiting this cleaning mechanism, which is very, very helpful for your body. Now, I don't have any technical terms for you, I'm sorry, but this is what convinced me to do intermittent fasting, and so I'm relaying the information that I can. But anyways, this cleaning mechanism is great for your intestines, and my suspicions were that I was having gut issues and a lot of systemic body issues. And so this was also a big benefit to me. And I was like, you know what? Hey, that sounds good. Now, the second biggest factor that convinced me to try IF is that over time, there's evidence that proves fasting strengthens your immune system. Now, like I said, eczema is an autoimmune condition. I don't think a lot of people recognize the seriousness of eczema because it's so prevalent and so common, but it's an autoimmune condition, right? Your immune system is attacking itself. And so when, my research showed me that it could actually strengthen your immune system, I was like, you know what? I think your girl here, Ruha, needs to try something else. We need to do another experiment. Now, fourth thing, and this is a plus, this is a nice to have, is that also from my research, supposedly eating prevents the growth hormone. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know a lot about this because I don't, but from the research that I did do, growth hormone is a very important hormone, and it's very important for your body in terms of growing and staying healthy. And so eating constantly, eating after working out apparently prohibits the growth hormone. And so that was also a great benefit that I was like, hey, you know what? I'll take that too. But anywho, the two big ones is that it would strengthen my immune system, and two, it reduces inflammation in your body. Those were the two big benefits, supposed benefits, that convinced me to try intermittent fasting. Now, let's talk about how I actually fast. I tried to show this a little bit in the beginning, but my schedule was a little bit messed up today. 1, because I wasn't hungry, and 2, because we had people come over. Now, how I usually do this is an 18-to-6 ratio. What that means is I fast for 18 hours and I eat for 6 hours. I have a 6-hour eating window is what they call it. Now, I fast from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. the next day. I eat from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and then I start fasting again. Now, I can drink water whenever I want. It's a, what's the word? Wet fast, I think it's called. It's a wet fast. And so I just drink water whenever I want. I can take vitamins, minerals. That doesn't make sense. I don't think you can get minerals in pill form. You can take vitamins, you know, meds or whatever. Now, ideally, you want 2 meals a day. This is also from my research. This is what works well for me. So a meal at around 12 p.m. and then a meal around 5 p.m. so you can stop fasting or start fasting at 6 p.m. So 2 meals ideally, and why I say this is because of that cleaning mechanism I just talked about. You don't want to be constantly eating. Constant eating is bad for you regardless of if you're fasting or not fasting. You should not be constantly eating. Your body needs a rest from all that inflammation. But disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. This is from my research, okay? Take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. So let's actually move locations because I'm gonna start cooking. I told my family that I would cook today. This curry, if you will. I hate saying curry because every Pakistani and South Asian dish is a curry. But let's just go with it because that's the easy way out of here. I promised my family that I would make this curry that I've been wanting to make for a while. So I'm going to go start prepping for that and then I'll continue on this conversation. Okay, before we get started, before we continue the conversation, do you want to see a really cool way to cut garlic? I promise it will change your life, like it changed mine. Anyways, take your garlic clove, and it has all the skin on it. All you gotta do is take a big knife. Can you see this? And you gotta smack it. I don't know, you're probably like, wow, Ruha, pretty aggressive. And I mean, yes, but look, the skin's off. And you literally just peel it off. You peel off the skin, and you have garlic that you didn't have to fight big battles for. That's how I like to think about it. I have to fight big battles if I cut garlic any other way. Anyways, I'm going to do the rest of this because it's super loud, and then we will continue on our conversation. Okay, y'all, as I cut these things now, what should I cut first? Let's do the bell peppers first. As I cut these, let's continue our conversation and pray that this is cooked by 5:30ish so I can actually eat before 6. I want to actually keep these for veggie stock. So let's get into the benefits. Okay, the very first benefit is inflammation. My inflammation, like I instantly felt, like my body felt more cold, if that makes any sense. I didn't feel like I had as much heat in my body. Now you might be like, what do you mean, Ruha? Like cold? Are you like your temperature was low? Like no, like heat. Like for example, inflammation in your body. Now that I know what it's like not to have inflammation in my body, you can tell when your body has a lot of built up heat in it. Now for all my brown people out there, this is what I think brown people refer to as garam cheezein. Like brown people will say, or Asian people will say, Desi people will say, ye garam cheez hai, isko zyada nahi khana chahiye. Like this is a hot thing, don't eat a lot of it. That's basically what I think they mean, is it creates a lot of inflammation in your body. Let's do this first. Anyways, the very first thing is I was a lot less itchy because I had less inflammation in my body. As soon as I would eat, I felt the heat build up and I would get itchy almost instantly. My eczema spots would get itchy almost instantly because I could literally feel the heat building up in my body after eating. So that was the very first benefit, and I would say probably one of the biggest benefits I experienced was inflammation for me was way less when intermittent fasting, which was, and I would say a key part to my eczema getting better from then. So, alhamdulillah, my eczema is way better from then. There's still ways to go, but it is way better. So that's benefit number 1. Now, 2, I mentioned that in the long term, intermittent fasting is good for your immune system because it helps strengthen your immune system. Now, this is a very hard thing to measure. Like, how am I supposed to claim that my immune system is stronger, right? That would take some concrete data, and I'm honestly not sure how I would measure that. Anyways, oh, that's not how you're supposed to cut bell peppers, but we'll deal. So my point being is it's very hard for me to tell if my immune system did strengthen in a concrete way. However, from a qualitative perspective, I do want to claim that it's better. And why I want to say that is because before I started intermittent fasting, and in the beginning of my experiment, I had really bad eczema. And as soon as I would eat dairy, sugar, honestly, as soon as I ate anything, my eczema would flare up. And that was a pretty horrendous experience to go through, honestly. As soon as you eat something, your body starts reacting and starts attacking itself. Not a fun thing to go through. But now, for example, I can eat chocolate tentatively. Like, I can have a little bit of it and not be scared out of my mind that I'm gonna have a bad reaction from it, because I can tolerate a little bit of chocolate. I can tolerate very little amounts of sugar now. I can tolerate very, very little amounts of cheese now, because first I couldn't have dairy at all. I can tolerate a little bit more nickel foods, so foods that are high in nickel. First I couldn't. I still can't have lentils. Those are terrible for me. They kill my skin. But I'm hopeful that, like other things have improved for me, one day I'll be able to have lentils without, reacting badly. So from that qualitative perspective, I do think my immune system has gotten better because it doesn't react as badly as it used to the same types of foods. So that's a really big benefit that I've seen. And why, you might be thinking, Ruha, like, did you only do intermittent fasting? Have you done other stuff? I have. And so there are a few moving parts to this in this timeline. But the things that I am doing have longer term benefits. Like, for example, taking, magnesium, for example. I did do a lot more other things that have contributed to the betterment of my eczema, but I'm going to trust my intuition here. And you're like, Ruha, I don't need your intuition, I need facts. And you know what? I respect that. But my intuition, which I'm very in tune with, tells me that that was because of fasting. And that was because, slowly my immune system was building itself back up. Am I cutting these too small? Anywho, that's the second benefit. Let's move on to the third benefit. Now, this is something that wasn't health related, but I appreciated a lot, and that is I felt like I could get so much more done when I wasn't distracted by food. Keeping myself to a okay, wait, I gotta cut this right. I remember how to cut these. I learned a really good way to cut these. Let's see if I remember. Let's see. You might be like, Ro, what on earth are you doing? And honestly, I'm not quite sure. Right now what I'm doing. Anyways, the last benefit that I experienced is I could get so much more done because I wasn't constantly distracting myself with food. You guessed it. Now, you may or may not know this, but a lot of people distract themselves with food. When they don't want to work, they get up and go eat something. When they want to procrastinate, they get up and eat something. When they want to push something off, they go get up and eat something. And this is something that a lot of people do. It's not unique behavior. A lot of people do it. I was subconsciously doing it. And so when I started fasting, I realized how much more time I had because I couldn't just get up and eat, right? I couldn't just get up and distract myself and push things off. No, all I had was water and vitamins, but I'm not going to be taking an excessive amount of vitamins, pills a day. So all I really had was water, like take a sip of water and get on with your life, right? Like finish it, Ruha. So that was also actually a pretty big benefit that I didn't think about before starting fasting that I actually really appreciated. Now, benefits aside, there are 2 disadvantages that I want to mention. And they're not like, what's the word? Deal breakers. They're not. But they are disadvantages from my perspective. Am I cutting too much? I guess we will find out. Anywho, my point being, the very first disadvantage that I experienced is because I'm eating from 12 to 6, I don't often eat with family. Honestly, never. I hardly ever eat with family anymore because I'm eating at 12 p.m. and approximately 5:30 p.m. and my family just doesn't eat that early, which, you know, you might be like, but Ruha, you're doing something good for yourself. You should convince your family to eat early too. And you know what? I'm working on it. I'm a little bit exhausted by it, but I'm working on it. But while that is not gonna happen anytime soon, I'm gonna have to continue suffering like this because my mom has a pretty unique schedule, and so my family eats later in the day than I do. Side note, bell peppers, for me, like, eat them please. And why I say that is because vitamin C, like vitamin C, oh my god, vitamin C, I have to repeat that. It is so good for you. All vitamins are obviously important for you. Every vitamin, every phytonutrient has its own purpose, and so everything's important to you. Your body has a very delicate balance, but vitamin C in particular for me is very important because it helps with wound healing and it also strengthens your immune system. Now, for what that means to me is, 1, wound healing. I used to scratch myself very badly when I slept because I was so itchy. I still do occasionally, and so it's important. And then 2, autoimmune condition, strengthens your immune system. That's a no-brainer there. So get your bell peppers in, people. So like I was talking about, the very first disadvantage, I hardly ever eat with my family anymore. That kind of sucks, to be honest. I really enjoy communal eating and eating with others. And you might be like, Ruha, are you sure you're an INTJ? Like, are you sure about that? And yes, I do. Honestly, I do. Ramadan actually reminded me about that because I was starting to forget that. I was okay with eating alone. But Ramadan reminded me about how much I enjoy eating with others. So now that I'm back to fasting, I'm actually a little bit sad because I'm eating alone these days. With that said, now the second disadvantage that I've experienced that just annoys me, honestly, like it's not, once again, the end of the world, but it honestly just irritates me like crazy, is that the first meal of the day goes fine for me because, you know, I'm obviously hungry after 18 hours of fasting. But for my second meal, which is about 4 to 5 hours after. Okay, so I just realized that we don't have green bell peppers, which is kind of sad, but that's okay because we have red, orange, and yellow bell peppers. And why that's better is because red bell peppers have 1.5 times the vitamin C than green bell peppers. And I personally am eating food for the nutritional value in them, so that's all right. That's all right. I still wish we had green bell peppers though. Okay, anywho, like I was saying, however, when my second meal comes up, which is about 4 or 5 hours after my first meal, I'm not very hungry. Usually it takes me, from experience, I know it usually takes, oh, this is not a great knife to cut bell peppers with. I know usually it takes me 6 to 7 hours to get hungry if I don't eat anything, which is all good with me, except I need to eat by 6 p.m. And I personally do not like eating when I'm not hungry. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I just don't desire the food. and it just becomes annoying to eat, which is a very privileged thing to say. I know, I'm very aware of my privilege, but at the end of the day, that's how I feel. I don't feel hungry, and so eating becomes a chore, a task, a nuisance almost, astaghfirullah. And my Muslim people here will know why I'm saying astaghfirullah, because you should cherish the food that you have. But like, seriously, that's how I feel. Like, I'm just eating on autopilot then, and eventually I just don't feel like eating at all. Like, I just feel like skipping that meal oftentimes. Yeah, which is kind of sad. So I've been trying to figure out how to deal with that. Maybe I need to eat less on my first meal, not satiate myself in my first meal, so I'll get more hungry for my second meal. I'm not sure how to deal with that, but that's a second disadvantage for me that I noticed, is this loss of appetite I have because I'm eating earlier than I get hungry. But those are really the only two disadvantages that I came across while fasting for many months at this point. And like I said, to me, both of these, they're not deal breakers for me. They're things that I have to find a workaround for. But, you know, nothing's perfect, and the benefits for fasting, to me, outweigh the disadvantages by a long mile. And that makes no sense, because what is a long mile compared to a small mile? A mile is a mile. But you get what I mean. Anyways, I'm gonna continue cooking, have my meal, potentially edit while cooking, edit my scholarship application while cooking, and then we will move on with our day. Y'all, guess what time it is? It's 6 p.m. and the food's not ready, which means I'm not gonna start fasting on time, which is sad. I don't want to use a slang word for this because it might be taken out of perspective, but I'm very hardcore about starting my fast on time. So I'm kind of sad, but that's all right. I'll just shift it a little bit, so I'll end it later than 12 p.m. tomorrow. Whenever I start fasting, I'll just shift it by that amount, so I still fast 18 hours. I'm very particular about that. I like to fast for 18 hours for sure, so I'll just shift things around and do stuff, make my eating window for the next day shorter if I have to get my 18 hours in. So that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. Right, y'all, can someone please tell me why on earth it took me 3 hours to cook? 3 hours. 3 hours. It should not be taking me 3 hours to cook. However, that meal did hit the spot. I was craving that for like the longest time. I just couldn't get it right. So I asked my sister for her recipe, and it was just yum. So I'm glad I made it. But 3 hours? Like 3 hours. I feel the necessity to repeat 3 hours. How? Like how? But regardless, even though I'm internally panicking, I'm gonna move on with my life. I need to pray Asr, and then I need to submit my application. I'll probably end up going outside for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back and work on another assignment that I have. Yay for spring classes. I hope you can detect the sarcasm in my voice. But, c'est la vie. Anywho, let's get to it. That reminds me, I should probably mention that that's the end of my fast. Or, that's the beginning of my fast. So I'm now officially fasting. So I finished the application. You probably saw I got frustrated at a point, and that was because the portal decided to delete some of my application data, which is very frustrating if you've been through that. So I got a bit frustrated, but then I was like, you know what, I can just fill this in again really quickly. So that's what I did. I finished it at 8. It's currently 8:30, and I'm gonna be honest and say I took a break because I'm very tired. I've been running around the entire day. I'm very tired, but I still need to do a few things. I wanted to do an essay for this course, but I think that's gonna happen tomorrow now, honestly. But I do want to finish this thing that I need to do for an extracurricular, so I'll probably end up doing that. But first, we are gonna go outside. We are gonna go do some grounding, take in some fresh air, get a new perspective, let out all the stress, and then get back to it. Alright, y'all, I think I'm gonna call it a day at that. I finished the thing that I wanted to do for my extracurricular activity. I was not able to get to my assignment for the course, for one of the courses that I'm taking today that I wanted to get to, but I think I can do it tomorrow. I may work on it a little bit later tonight, but honestly, I don't want to. I'm gonna move on to doing some physio exercises and functional mobility training, but my workday is basically done, and I think this is a good place to end this video. So I hope you enjoyed watching a day in the life of intermittent fasting, how I do intermittent fasting. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I also actually hope that you try it out. You know, you never know. It's not a big deal if you don't, but trying out stuff is, I think, an important part of life. So why not? You know, there's literally no harm trying it out. So I hope you do. If you do, please let me know how it goes for you in the comments, and I would love to hear from you on how it goes. So with that, I'm gonna say until next time.